Who we are and what we do counts. Stephen, this is the last story I'll tell you. Stephen was the young man I met at Dana-Farber. He is the title story of my book, Every Day Counts. I have a few copies of my book and some audio CDs over there and a sign up for the book in paperback. It's coming out in paperback very, very soon. Stephen was a young man, 16 years old, with aplastic anemia. Aplastic anemia is a disease in which none of the bloodlines produce normally. So red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets are all caca. And he had to be in for transfusion every month of his life, and we all knew, and he knew, that this is a man who would not live to see 30. The body simply can't sustain itself for a long life with that kind of a disease. So I met him at 16. He was a veteran of Dana-Farber. He knew everyone. They all knew him. He was beloved by the custodial staff, by the cafeteria workers, by the nurses. And I go in, this brand new psychology intern, barely knowing, you know, like how to hold the clipboard right. And I introduced myself to him. And after about 3.5 minutes, we both realized that the healthiest person in the room is him. That he really has it all together. And so after an uncomfortable 10 or 12 minutes with a 16-year-old young man, we all know how uncomfortable that can be, he turned to me very graciously and said, "Maria, I don't really think I need therapy." And I said, "You know what? You are absolutely right. However, here's my beeper number. Anything should happen that you need to talk to someone confidentially. You don't want to talk to any of these people who've known you all these years. Please give me a call." He said, "Thank you very much. Very kind of you." And I got ready to leave the room. And as I'm crossing from one end of the room to the other, in that brief 3.5 seconds, 2 things occur to me. Number one, Stephen has this gorgeous, deep, unshakable love for Boston Red Sox baseball. And I knew that I was going to meet other boys that year who had a deep, abiding love for Boston Red Sox baseball, or some team somewhere. And the second thing that occurred to me was that Stephen knew a heck of a lot more about how to take care of young boys who are facing death than I did. And so because I'm a novice, I make a mistake. I don't think it was a mistake. I got yelled at for it. I've done it 100,000 times since. As I'm walking out the room, I turn to him and I say to Stephen, "You know what? Just one thing, Stephen. I know I'm going to meet other boys this year who also love the game. Do you have any words of wisdom for me? Something that might be helpful for them to help them get through?" And he thought about it for a second. He said, "No, you know, I really don't." "Okay, thank you very much. Here's my pager number. Call me. Don't hesitate. I'll let the nurse know that you're all ready." Okay? And that night, my phone rings, and it's Stephen. He said, "Maria, you know what? I was thinking about your question. I actually do have something to tell those boys. I do. Do you want to write it down?" I said, "Absolutely." I'm like, "Okay, I'm ready. You ready?" "I'm ready." "All right, here's the thing, Maria. You tell those boys that every day counts. That even if it's a bad day and they're in pain, it's still their day and it still counts.